You might have seen this old thing before. Last time you saw it, it was sitting in the woods. We tried to get it running and we failed. Well, this week she's going to run one way or the other as soon as we get her in the shop. So let us get busy. It's generally a lot easier to get a vehicle off a trailer if you got all tires aired up. Well, the back two, they'll go flat, but they will stay up long enough to, to get it off the trailer. But this one here, yep, I think it's done for. Yep, got a little steel showing right there. I got a 14-inch tire on that wheel. Let me swap them, and we'll get this thing in the shop. Let's see if it's going to rip these beads, or what is it going to do? Well, it's going to lock up like it always does. Yep. Come on, man. Okay, the tire is pretty much loose. It's hanging on a weight. Yep. I forgot to take the weight off. That's exactly what it is. All right, let's see if that don't help it out a little bit. Oh yeah. Look at there. You put it on there, didn't tear it up. What about this front chair? Oh yeah. I think our duck head is going to work just fine and dandly. Got a pretty bad leak right here on the bead. Let me get that fixed and I'll see y'all when I'm ready to put it on the car. I must hurry. That jack leaks down pretty quickly. All right, let me air the back two up and we'll pull it up there and get it off. Well, here's the deal. Well, firstly, that is what's awesome about a gooseneck trailer. You can jack that sucker around sideways. Pretty doggone good. Anyways, here's what I got to do to get this in the shop right there. Well, this was in the shop. I just pulled it out right there. I had to hook it up to the winch up to the S10, drag it up there to get it out of the way so I can get this here. Well, now it's in the way because this has got to roll off here right where it's at. So we got to roll this away. This is downhill, by the way. And no brakes. Can't throw it in gear because something's wrong with the transmission with the drive shaft. So I'm just going to run along beside it, steer it, and whenever she stops out here, hopefully not in the pool, well, that's where she'll sit until I decide what I'm going to do with it. Then we take this fella here, roll it off right up there where it's at, and then come on through here. Oh yeah, let's see what kind of MLS backyard butchery happens when I start doing all this. I got to cut the wheels that away so I don't run into the shop. Then I got to kick the Scotch block out from under it, run up here, grab the steering wheel, try to steer it, run along beside it. Hopefully I don't get run over. This could get interesting. Here we go! Yeehaw! Whoa, buddy! Woo! Yay! Well, I didn't die. I got my cardio for the day, but that tore my knee up pretty bad. Yes, it sure did. What is this sitting on top of it here? Piece of trim come off this right in this area here. We will store it inside for now. All right, let's get this thing off here and get it in the shop. Well, that right there pretty much wiped my knee out. Yep. I don't know if it was running beside the 52 or pushing on this one, but yes, sir. I can't hardly walk now, so probably ain't going to do a whole lot the rest of the day. But let's do a little recap firstly on this car, just in case, you know, somebody is just now starting to watch and they don't know what's going on. This is a 1978 Ford Fairmont station wagon. This was Mama's car back when I was 14, 15, 16 years old. Took my driving test in it. Not too long after that, it was parked in the woods. That's where it sat for 35 years or so. A couple weeks ago, I decided to try to get it running. That was a failure. Something's dragging the motor down. I think it's internally. Well, it finally got to where it wouldn't turn over at all, and that's when I quit. I'm going to pull the front end off of the motor, well, the radiator and all that, so I can get a wrench on the crank here in a minute. And I want to see how loosely or tightly it turns over by hand. And here's why. It could be the starter that's dragging it down. One of y'all mentioned that in the comments. And I had thought about that, but I told y'all, you know, starter's $150. I didn't really want to spend it on this pile of junk then, but I've sort of changed my mind now. I'd like to get it running. So that's why I'm going to do that. If it turns over freely, then I'm going to say it may be the starter. If you recall the 81, the silver Ford F100 we got running last year, that starter did the same thing. It got to dragging. I thought, well, the motor is just shot. Turns out that the starter was bad. Went and got one, and it, you know, spun it over pretty good. Could be what's going on here. We're going to find out. If it's not the starter, then I'm probably going to pull the motor out and let's at least tear it down, see what's going on, see if the pistons are dragging, there's a bunch of rust in the cylinder, or maybe there's a main or rod bearing that's just, you know, gone. We're going to find out at least. And if we can, we may do a hone, re-ring, new bearings, put it back in there, fire the thing up. Anyways, let me get the front end off there. We'll get a wrench on that crank, see what we got. Don't scratch the paint, man. Come on. Oh yeah. All right, what do I need? It looks like a 9/16, ½ inch or 7/16. Let me get some tools. We'll put these up where they don't get lost. Put them up here. Let's hurry up, hurry. Come on, man. I gotta get the shroud off, and then I think we'll be ready. Let me get that fan out of the way, and then we'll get a wrench on the crank. Crank-a-lanka, man. Here's a fan of mine. All right, let me get the plugs out real quick, like. We'll turn this thing over my hand, see what it feels like. Let's see if it turns over easy, or do we have any hard spots? Oh, we don't have a hard spot right off the bat. Oh yeah, she's done locked up again. Sure enough. What in the world? This is very interesting. Oh, well, I guess I got my answer. Let me get a breaker bar on that. All right, let's see what it'll do with the breaker bar. What in the world? It has locked up. It has locked up in a week's time. What in the world? This is, well, this is insane right here. It moved a little bit there, it went. I think we got our answer, fellas. It ain't starter. No, sir. It's something internal. I'm going to say it's probably rust on the cylinder walls, but I don't know for sure. There's another hard spot right there. So, yeah. Well, I reckon we got our answer. Yes, sir, we sure did. Done locked up on us again. I'm going to guess and say it's a cylinder, rusted up real bad. I could be wrong. We'll put it all the way down, look at the cylinders, look at all the main and rod bearings, hone it. You know, if it ain't bad, we'll hone it, re-ring it, new bearings, put it back together, put it in here and fire it up. Yes, sir, that's what we'll do. Start on that tomorrow. But before I call it a day, let me show y'all something. I forgot about it till the other day when I was in the woods working on it. Here's your kick down lever, shaft, whatever you want to call it. It's supposed to be hooked right here. And it goes over there to the carburetor device. Well, when I was a child, Daddy was working on that one night. I don't remember what the issue was, but, well, let me tell you this. He was a very, very patient man, very level-headed, until he wasn't. I told y'all I get my temper from him. Anyway, he fooled that thing. Couldn't get it to do whatever he wanted it to do. So he took it out and just bent her double. He sure did, broke it in two. And of course, you know, 15 minutes later when he calmed down, he had to weld it back together. I don't think y'all can see it, but I pointed out where he welded it back together. Yes, sir, I forgot all about that and got to laughing about that the other day in the woods. Anyways, tomorrow we'll pull this thing out, go to tearing it down. I'll see y'all then. Today's the next day, and today is the day that we're going to pull that motor out and see what's wrong with it. But I figured before we do that, let's just take a look underneath, see how bad it is. Well, right off the bat, got a large area here with things missing in the floorboard. Got some more floorboard rot there. This frame rail here, she's pretty bad. I can stick my finger up in there. All the way back here looks pretty good, but I think there may be some up in there. Let me get the light real quick. Oh yeah, it's pretty rotten right there. This over here, I can't really see it, but I think it looks okay. This frame rail here looks pretty good, but that floorboard in there looks pretty doggone bad. The floorboard, it's in pretty rough shape. And then this frame rail, maybe not. I thought one of these were rotten, but maybe not. K-member looks good, but the inner fender over here, she got a hole or two in it. Rocker panels look pretty good. Look at this exhaust. It is still in pretty good shape. I don't know if y'all remember me telling you the story, was it last year before, when we went through the woods robbing all the parts. I told y'all the story of me putting this glass back on here when I was, I don't know, 14, 15 years old. The muffler fell off, and I don't even know where this came from, but I said, let's put that on there, see what it sounds like. And I had it held up with the coat hangers. There it is right there. Yep. Anyways, it is in rough shape. I'm not gonna lie to you. You can see where the door is separating. What else? Well, look at the outer rocker panel. It's in pretty good shape. Bottom of this fender ain't though. Back here in the quarter panel area, a little bad there. These bumpers, if I'm not mistaken, are aluminum. Well, I'll tell you what, let's get a magnet, stick to it and see what it does. Here's my level. It's got magnets on it. Yes, sir. It is aluminum. Let's check the front one. I don't know if it is or not. Sort of looks like it. Yeah, I think it is. Yes, sir. They are aluminum bumpers. Oh, look here, the radiator support. Little rotten in that area there. So you got some rot. I ain't gonna lie to you. Bottom of that door looks pretty doggone bad. Yep. I don't even know if they make repair panels for a Ford Fairmont station wagon. That fender will eat up a little there and right in there. But I still would like to get this old hunk of junk back on the road, maybe. I don't know, fellas. We'll just have to see. If we do, it's going to be a hot rod. It's going to have a V8 in it and all that. But for now, let's pull this out and see what's wrong with it. I think whilst I got it up in the air, let's go ahead and get the drive shaft out of the way and undo the transmission mount and I don't know, whatever. Where's the motor mounts at? I don't see them. Anyways, let's just go to unhooking stuff. Why, Ford? Why? Why would you use 12-point bolts on that? Why? In my experience, 12-point bolts are pure garbage because they strip out, round off, 99.99% of the time. Absolutely. Yep. Still won't come out. We got a wee bit of transmission leak. I don't know where it's coming from, but there's a little puddle on the floor. Well, let me get a pry bar. All right, let's get the driving shaft out. Hopefully we won't get a big puddle of transmission fluid. I'm gonna go ahead and put this plug in if it'll fit. Yep, here it comes. Here it comes. Oh, yeah, we'll have to get a bag wrap around that. Yep. I got several things loosened up and took off and whatnot. Shifter cable and I don't know what all. Fixing to loosen these transmission mount bolts. Look here. There's an electrical plug going into the transmission, so I reckon it's a lockup converter. I don't know. I think the cooler lines can stay on. I gotta get this shifter stuff here off the bell housing. What else? I think that'll pretty much do it. Yes, sir. So let me get that took off, and then we'll go back up top and start taking stuff loose up there. We may have to loosen this side of this transmission cross member and drop it down because these are studs instead of bolts. Probably what we'll have to do, you know, when we get ready to take the motor out. So let's just get busy and do that. Well, I had to quit and go do some stuff. Then I come back and did some more stuff here. I'm pretty sure I got everything unhooked. If I don't, well, we'll know here in a little bit. Yes, sir, because we're fixing to pull it. I actually quit and went to get the front clip for that 56 Patrician that we drug home a few weeks ago. The blue one, got the great big old fancy trim all down the side. Yep, got the front clip for it, and what I get? 3 bumpers, a grill for the clipper, the one that has the motor in it. Anyway, we might go look at it tomorrow, but right now, let's pull this motor. Going up. Well, it's a loose from the motor mounts. She's coming on up. Oh, yeah. I hear things popping and crackling. Oh, I'm hitting the firewall. Well, that's not good. I need to do a little tilting. Which way do I need to go? This is a colossal pile of garbage. It really is. This needs to have ball bearings or something on it. I gotta tighten that up. Well, it's hanging on to something. That's all I got. Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Ta-da! With Artez, we got it out without any major mishaps. I did tear the plastic bag that was on the end of my transmission, and it left a trail of blood all the way across the shop, so I just decided we'll drain it. I'll put a new bag on it, and we'll be good there. Also, as I was walking over here a minute ago, I looked up on the wall, and I saw something. What in the world is that? I said, how did dirt get up there? It's not dirt. That is tire soap. Yep. Remember when it went flying across the shop the other day? Well, landed up there too. Yep. Anyways, let me get the transmission off. Then we'll get that on the engine stand and go tearing it down. First thing we got to do, get these braces off, get this dust cover off, and get the torque converter bolts loosened up. Y'all remember how this goes, because I won't for sure. I think I will go ahead and take this starter off and get it out of the way. There's a number cast into the block right here, D7BE. D is for 70, and then 7 is 7, of course. So that means it's made in 77, the block was. I can tell you the ring gear is eaten up, probably from that other starter we put on that was, you know, a pile of a garbagerie. All right, let me get this dust cover off real quick. There we go. Ta-da! Now, bell housing bolts. I'm gonna break this bolt. What in the world? I guess I'm just going to have to pull it off and leave the torque converter on it. I don't want to do that, but I reckon I'm gonna have to. Well, does not want to separate. Ta-da! Almost. I got a backup line right here. Now, ta-da! Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Got some lines up here. Now, ta-da! Y'all know I'm not a Ford guy, I'm a GM. And this is interesting to me. That shaft pulls out. Very, very interesting. Anyways, let me get that torque converter off. Maybe. I don't think I helped myself because I still can't rotate it. I might get to them bolts, I don't know. Well, we gotta get that off though so I can get this on the stand. Well, I've almost got it off. A few more turns. Ta-da! Well, I got that off. This is a weird looking little flex plate. Yep, like I said, I'm used to GM. The ring gear is on the, what's that called? Torque converter. Now here's something that makes me think that, I don't know if the motor's been out, transmission's been apart, I don't know. But right here, these are the nuts that held the torque converter to that plate. One of these are not the same as the other. That one right there, these are flange nuts, see? That one 'tis not. So that tells me it's been apart before. Then also on the motor mount right here, there was a bolt missing right there. So this thing's liable to have been went through before, and I ordered what I ordered: rings, a gasket set, and rod bearings. I couldn't find main bearings in a standard size. Well, it's liable to not be a standard size. I guess we'll find out here in a little bit. Let me get this off, and then we'll get it on the engine stand, go tear it apart. Well, I got all the accessories off the front. I didn't want to bore y'all with that. Now we're gonna pull the valve cover, start pulling head bolts, and pull the head off and see what we see. I have lost a 1/2-inch wrench and the only pair of vice grips I own. I don't know where they're at. I've searched the shop for 30 minutes. I've looked in the toolbox 6 times. They grew legs and walked away. I don't know. If y'all see them in the background, well, let me know in the comments. That's pretty sludgy. Well, I don't know. It ain't too bad. I've seen a lot worse, yep. I'm trying to figure out where all the head bolts are. I guess they're down through here where all this trash is. So let me get my vacuum out and a screwdriver and dig all this out. Vacuum it out. Then we'll get the head off. Hopefully. You gotta love engineers, because they didn't quite leave enough room for a impact socket. Yep, gotta love them. All right, I reckon it's time to pull this thing off. I'm not even gonna pull the rocker arm. We'll just let the push rods go where they may. Oh yeah, this thing is a wee bit heavy. Yep. Oh yeah! Oh, what am I hung on? All right, let's try that again. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! She's got a little bit of ring ridge, but I have dealt with a lot worse. Let me get a flashlight, look at these cylinders, but I ain't seen nothing all that bad yet. No, sir, I ain't seeing nothing bad at all. A little bit of rust right there, surface rust, but nothing that would hold it up from turning. Let me see if I can't spin it over one way or the other, move these pistons around, look a little more. All right, let's see if it'll turn over or not. Oh, no, sir, no, sir, no, sir. Goodness gracious, something's got her locked up just terribly tight. Let's go this way. It won't go either way now. I don't know. Let me get my chain wrench, see if I can't go that way. Let's see if this chain wrench is gonna make her move or not. Probably not. Yeah, there we go. See how it eases up? Let me look at the cylinders real quick. There's nothing. I don't know what's going on with it. See, it gets hard again right there. I want to get it turned 180 so I can look at the rest of the cylinders, but what I'm seeing, I don't see nothing wrong with them. So it's got to be a bearing. No, sir, don't see nothing in these cylinders anywhere. So I reckon it's got to be a bearing. Well, let's pull the pan off and go to looking at the crank. Let's drain the earls. See what kind of earls we got. I wonder if there's any wooders in here. No, sir. Nothing but good old black earls. Let me let that drain for a little bit. We'll flip it over and pull the pan and go to pulling probably main caps first, just to look at them, see what we got. Well, it's time to make a mess and dump antifreezes all over the floor. I'll let her drain a little bit. Come on, man. Well, that wasn't too bad. All right, well, here comes the Earl. Let's wait on that. Come on, man, hurry up. All right, who's ready to see what we got in here? What do we have? There's some sludge in the bottom, but it ain't. I've seen a lot worse. Yep, sure have. Now what I want to do is take a main cap off, look at the bearings, put a wrench on here, turn it, see if it will turn. You know, hoping we can find the bad main. It may be a rod bearing though. I don't know. But let's start with the center one. Take it off, see what happens. Let's get this pickup and oil pump out of the way firstly. There's our Earl pump drive. Do not let me forget to put that back in. All right, let's start in the middle. This one here looks pretty good. Let me find a rag. Yep, ain't nothing wrong with that one for sure. No, sir. Give it a spin, just see what it does. You never know. Pretty sure it's not going to turn, but let's just see what it does. No, sir. No, sirree. All right, let's take another one off. That in there might be the one. Where'd my rag go? Here it is. Yeah, she scored pretty good. I'll show y'all that here in just a minute. Crank looks okay though. Let's see if it'll turn. No, sir. Still won't turn. Well, take another one loose. That one there looks pretty good. So I don't think that's going to keep her from turning. No, sir. Ain't nothing wrong with that one there either. No, sir. Still won't turn. What does this one look like? Just fine and dandly. Yep. I don't know. Ain't nothing wrong with that one. They got oil on them too, so that's good. At least they wasn't dry. Still won't turn. One more. Ain't nothing wrong with that one either. Well up. Let me get a flashlight and look at the bottom of the piston and see what they look like. Well, I can't see a whole lot, but I don't see nothing out of the ordinary. No, sir. So, I do not know what's got this thing bound up right now. The only thing left is, well, there's a bunch of rust in this one here on this side. That right there may be it. Yep. Tell you what, let's take this piston out and I bet you that'll free it up. Yep. A lot of rust right there. Bearing looks good. Crank looks good. If I try to drive that rod out, it's going to hit the cam and the block. This crank needs to turn this way. So now that we got that loose, let's just see if it'll turn. Oh yeah, look at there. Yep, that's what 'twas. I ain't got a brass drift here, so I'm going to put this nut back on, and we're going to peck on it so we don't mess them threads up. But yes, sir, this is what it is. That cylinder right there had lots of rust in it. It's coming. It's just about to pop out. Get them rings past that ridge, it might come on out. There it is. Let me hand tighten these mains. Then we'll turn her over. We'll get a little better look at that cylinder. Well, I wiped the cylinder out and I really don't see a whole lot. There's some over there, some over there, but that's where the skirt is cut out on the piston in this area here, so it don't never ride there. There is a wee bit of stuff. Look at the bottom of your screen. I'm pretty sure that's rust, but I don't think that's enough to keep that thing from, you know, turning like that. Now, if you look at the piston, you see lots and lots of, I'm assuming, carbon buildup in between the first and second ring right there. Quite a bit. And I'm gonna say that's what had her jammed up. Yes, sir. Matter of fact, let's see if any of that'll scrape off. Oh yeah, there's a bunch of stuff there, right in there. Most likely that's probably what it was. I don't see a whole lot of scarring on the skirt. Yep. So I reckon I was right. It was a cylinder all crudted up. What I'm gonna do now is measure the bore, because I've got rings, a gasket set, and rod bearings coming. And it's all for standard stuff. So I got to measure, make sure that's standard bore, measure the main and rod, make sure they're standard. And I got to find some main bearings somewhere. I got to get in there and look tonight, get them coming. We'll tear it apart and clean it up. Well, let me show you this before we do anything else though. I got all the mains tight. And look at there. She turns over just pretty as you please. It's got one more little hard spot, but it ain't real bad. But like I said, we're going to tear it apart, clean it up, hone it, re-ring it, new bearings. I think we'll be good. I got to get off my knee because it's about to cripple me. So I reckon I'll see y'all tomorrow. 'Tis the next day again. Well, it's actually been 4 days. I done lost count. Been waiting on parts. I've had trouble finding some parts. I'll tell you all about that in a minute. But I'm also pretty sure I've been fighting the old tick fever disease. Well, you remember, we pulled that out of the woods a few days ago. Well, I laid on the ground to put the rack and pinion in it. I believe one of the little fellers bit me. Yep. And I put, bug spray on too. So how it got to me, I don't know. I just know that when I have that stuff, I have extreme joint pain. Let me tell you, it was hurting me pretty bad. Anyways, I took some antibiotics, and I feel mucho better now. Been having trouble finding parts here though. Mainly the main bearings. Well, let's walk over here and I'll show you what all the parts I got so far. Rod bearings, rings, gasket set, main bearings. This is what I've been having trouble finding. See how it's got a groove in that bearing there? I think that's the difference between the years. I couldn't find anything for a 78. As far as main bearings goes, I could find like 80 through 82. And I sort of think that's the issue. I believe that's what these fit, was 80 through 82. And I mean, they're all the same size. I just think it's that groove. So it's going to have to do. Yes, sir, because that's all I can get my hands on. Also, I have intentions of putting this back on the road. It's going to be a little hot rod. And, we need brakes and stuff. I've been trying to find brake parts for a 78. No, sir. Calipers, no. I can't find any calipers for a 78. Finally found some brake hoses. And I think the brake pads are the same all through the years. But apparently in 79, this 78 is the first year of the Fairmont. And the first year of the Fox platform. Well, I think in 79, they are, already changing it. Well, you know how Ford is. Sometimes you got to know the month it was made, literally, before you can get parts. Anyways, what I decided to do, I looked up 79 calipers. They look pretty much the same. So that's what I bought. We're going to try them with the 79 hoses. And I think I got wheel cylinders for the back, which that don't matter because if we're going to hot rod it, we got to take that rear end out because, yeah, we'll break that pretty quickly. Low, I think it's a 7.5 inch ring gear. Yeah, that'll get broke pretty easily. Those were supposed to be here yesterday. No, sir, they weren't here. I went to the store to see if they come in. They may be here now. We ain't quite ready for that. Anyways, what I want to do right now, let's finish tearing this apart. Get the pistons out to get the crank out of the way. And probably going to pull the cam. I tried to get the lifters out the other day, and they don't want to come out. No, sir. So we may have to knock them through, get them out from the bottom. Then once we get everything out, let's go ahead and hone it. And then we'll clean it up real good. And I'm going to get me some paint, paint her blue. I'll clean up the oil pan, paint it. Probably the head and things, whatnots. And then we'll clean it up good, and we'll start putting it together. I also know, by the way, remember how I couldn't find my vice grips and 1/2 inch wrench the other day? Well, whilst I was editing the video the other night, I discovered where they are. Yep, they're under the car. I come over here and just glanced under it, didn't see nothing. Well, they're behind that wheel right there. Yes, sir, they sure are. Anyways, I think what I'll start doing is stamping the rods, make sure we put them back where they go, then we'll go to tearing it apart. Number 1 will be in the front. Oh yeah. There's numero 2-0, numero 3-0, numero 4-0, numero 5-0, and then I'll mark 6-0. It's sitting over on the table. All right, let's start with numero 1. So we can get it out. I'm having trouble finding something to get down in here to peck on this and knock it out. Well, you don't want to come because of that ridge. I don't have a ridge reamer. There it goes. There she goes. That bearing looks pretty bad. Lots and lots of copper showing. Right there. So it's copper colored. That is on the top of the rod. It'll be like this. And that's what's hammering down on the crank. That is either lack of oil pressure or detonation will cause that too. Just, on the top. Because the rest of the bearing looks okay. Here's one for number 6 that we already took off. See all that copper, it's even worse. Yep. Just for my reference, the tang goes yonder way. I gotta take the timing cover off so I can get the, what do you call them, sprockets and chain out of the way so we can get the crank and cam out. Wrong way! Ta-da! Before I take these off, I want to see if there's any marks. There's one right here. Does it line up? I think it lines up with the keyway. Let me see. Yes, sir. All right. That's how you time it. You got a hash mark there that lines up with the keyway. Come on, man. Ta-da! If I don't let them move, then all we gotta do is put it right back on. Let's get this crank-a-lanka out of here now. These are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, T6. And they got an arrow pointing towards the front. Now why this don't say 5, I don't know. The first 2 years of the 200 cubic inch had, I think, 5 main bearings. And then, was it 65? They changed it to 7 main bearings. They were having trouble with harmonics, so they added 2 more mains to combat that. All right, the crank is ready to come out. Ta-da! These upper halves are grooved like what we got, so that is awesome. So we got the right bearing, so we should be okay. Let me get these out. These look pretty good, but these won't have, you know, any pressure on them. It'll be the bottom half of the main, so I'll pull them out of the caps here in a minute. Look at them. Your thrust bearing apparently is number 5. The cam has a retainer plate. I find that kind of odd, because it's a flat tappet. Normally you don't need a retainer. I haven't pulled the lifters out because, well, I can't get them to come out. So I got her upside down. They should be out of the way. So I'm gonna see if I can't pull this cam out. It don't want to move. I need a bolt to stick in the end there. Well, my phone, it quit recording on me. It got filled up, the memory got filled up, and it just quit recording. I was just talking away whilst I was pulling that cam out, thinking I was talking to y'all. Well, I wasn't talking to nobody but me, myself, and I, and whatever mices are in here. Well, there's the cam there. I checked all the lobes. There ain't no flat ones. That's good. Lifters, if you're going to reuse them, keep them in order and put them back in the same hole they came out of. I'm not sure it matters. I just know that's what people, oh, you must do that. So that's what we're going to do. What I'm going to do now, I just spent, I don't know, 30 minutes trying to at least break all this greasy mess up. I got it cleaned up pretty good with a wire brush. After we hone it, which is what I'm fixing to do, we're going to put her in our tub over there with our purple pyre sitting over, let it soak. Anyways, let me set y'all up, and I guess we'll go to honing this thing. I'm just going to use the dingleberry hone. It's the wrong size. This bore is 3.850, I think, something like that. This is a 4-inch hone. A little bit too big, but fellas, it don't matter. All we're wanting to do is hear this thing run. Also, I don't know if I told y'all, this is a standard bore. It has not been bored out. Anyways, let us hone this thing out. For those who don't understand why I'm honing this, when you put new rings in, you got to have a little bit of a rough surface for those rings to seat. That's why we're doing this. All right, let me wipe that out real quick. Like, I need a flashlight. I can't see what I'm doing. That actually is not That's not bad. That's a pretty good looking crosshatch. Now, I've told y'all before that this type of hone will make you think that, man, that cylinder is perfect. It is far from perfect. But it is roughed up enough where hopefully the rings will seat into it. I'm gonna hit it one more time, and I think we'll move on to the rest of them. Also, and oh, by the way, brand new drill. The reason I had to buy a new drill is I was using the old one to raise and lower the trailer, and well, it burned it up. It sure did. So I got to figure out some other way to raise and lower that thing easily. Anyways, let's finish this up. It looks beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Let me finish the other 5, and then I'll be back and I'll show y'all what they look like. Last one. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but they got pretty good crosshatch. It'll do for what we want to do anyways. Oh yeah. I think now, let's pick her up, put it in the tub, pour the purple power over it, and then I'm gonna scrub this with the brush some more. And we'll let her sit. Today is Saturday, so tomorrow's Sunday. Sunday's day of rest is what I plan on doing. So we'll let her soak all day tomorrow. We'll come back Monday, pull it out, go to clean it up, and I may try to put that head in there with it because it's kind of nasty too. Yep, that's what I'll do. All right, well, let's put her over in there. And I wonder why my back and knees are bad. Oh yeah! Well, I gotta take that off, I reckon. Let me pull it off. All right. Ooh. Well, there's one. Let me brush it a little bit, and then we'll turn her over. I'll fill it up the rest of the way, and then we will wait. Let me ask you Ford guys. O'Reilly's has 2 different Ford colors. It just says Ford blue and then old Ford blue. What's the difference? What should this one be? Ford blue or old Ford blue? All right, let me roll you over, little buddy. Time to go to sleep. Time to go night-night. All right, let me fill the rest of the way up. I reckon I shall see y'all Monday. Well, I reckon they're done soaking. We're gonna spray them off real good. I'm gonna blow it with air, get all the wooters off. Then we'll hit her with some W&D, keep it from rusting. I reckon we'll try to put some of it together at least. I've got the block and head all cleaned up and ready to go. I got the valve cover and Earl pan soaking in the tub of purple power. I'm trying to get the rings off of these pistons so I can clean them up. The oil rings are acting like they were stuck. So if this thing ever did run, it probably would have smoked like a freight train. Also, well, let me get this ring off and I want to show you something else. Yes, sir, these are quite stuck, so it's a good thing I got some new rings. Goodness gracious, what in the world? Well, there's half of it. Alright, well, there's one. Pretty nasty. It's lots and lots of carbon buildup. It'd take me 6 years to clean these up. But what I wanted to show you, well, let me just show you up close a little bit better. This is numeral 60 piston. Remember, that's the one we had to really get on to get it to come out. And I put my big long punch right here, whooping on it, and we have burst the piston. If I can get her in the light, probably can't see it. See that crack right there in the middle of the screen? I don't know how deep it goes. It may just be right there on the edge. What I'm probably going to do, try to knock that little quarter off. That way that piece don't get down in the motor. But this thing liable to fly apart as soon as it starts because of that right there. Yes, sir. Anyways, look at these. I mean, that there, that's would have never, no sir, that's really bad. That would have never popped out and it would have never started or ran on that piston, no sir. Anyways, let me get these cleaned up and then we'll get over and we might put it together just a little bit. Let's just see how aggravating these rings are going to be to get off. This is number 6, the one that was stuck really bad. Goodness gracious alive. I think that's the gap, I ain't real sure. It's moving a little bit. I'll have to file that piston because I'm marking it up. Come out of there. Well, I broke it. At least it's coming out though. Get out of there. Marked it up a little bit. Let me file on that right now before I forget. Oh yeah, that's mucho batero. All right, let's see about getting this second one out. Ta-da! That's 2 down, 4 to go. I will see y'all when I get these cleaned up. Pistons and rods are sort of cleaned up. I got them soaking in the purple pyre over there. Do not soak aluminum in purple pyre for very long or you will regret it. I don't know, it's like a calcium buildup. That's what it reminds me of anyways. But now we are attempting to clean the lift doors. And well, all I'm doing is spraying it with carb cleaner, getting all the crud off, especially down in here. Then take a screwdriver and make sure that little plunger down in there moves. I just want to make sure they're not stuck. So there's a little spring in here. If they don't move up and down, well, they're stuck. If it does, well, then you're okay. Let me get these done up, and then I will do the final cleaning on the pistons, and we might stick the cam and crank in and pistons. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Got all of the lifters cleaned up as best I can. Now we got to clean the ring grooves on these pistons, get all the carbon out. All you do is take an old ring, break part of it off, and go to scraping that ring groove, get all that mess out. We can see right here, that's one groove, all that stuff right there. Oh yeah, got to get her cleaned out or the rings, well, they won't be able to squeeze all the way in, and so I would break a ring. Might break a ring land. Anyways, let me get these done. Then we might start putting it together. Working on the last piston here. I think it's numero uno. Yes, sir. And we have not 1, not 2, but 3 cracked ring lands. See those places that look like scratches? They are in fact cracked. Yep. That's probably due to the motor being stuck, and then I come along with a great big old long breaker bar, break it loose, and well, that's what happens. You know what I'm going to do? I ain't going to do nothing. I'm going to clean it up, put it back in the motor. It might last 15 minutes. It might last 15 years. I don't know, and I don't really care. I just want to hear the motor run. So, I'll see you in a little while when I start putting this thing together. Well, I think I got everything pretty much cleaned up, ready to go. Like I said, we're about out of time, but I do want to put some of it together before we end this video. We're doing a rope seal right now. I haven't seen a rope seal in quite some time. No, so sure ain't. So this should be fun and interesting. Getting this down in the groove. We'll try to shove it on in there with a screwdriver. Then you got to cut the excess off. That's about as good as I can get her in there, I think. So let me get my knife and cut that off. I'll put the other one in the main cap. Then we'll be ready to go. Well, when I get this cut, I'll be back and we'll start putting other things in this motor. I reckon I managed to cut that good enough. I'll have to dab some RT&V on either end of it. Now, let us get the main bearings in. We'll get that crank in. Always wipe the back of your bearing off just in case there's a piece of dirt. And down in here I've already done it. Or it's liable to squish the bearing, can make it too tight. If you remember, was it the 327? When we put it together, we had that trouble. Well, that's good. Just drop the bearing. Yeah, just drop it on the nasty floor. Anyway, we had that trouble out of the, I think, 327 and the Forte. It got a little trash underneath the bearing and made it a wee bit too tight. So always wipe them off. Let me get the other half and the caps. Then we'll be ready to put the crank in. Let's go ahead and put the cam in firstly. So let me get it lubricated up real good. We'll get it put in. All right, I'm wondering how many of y'all caught that. I wonder how many comments I've got right now telling me I put the thrust bearing in the wrong place. Yep. I guess I thought it was a shimmy lay. I had put it back here. I don't think the crank would have went because there's a little flange right here. It probably would hit the side of the bearing. But yes, sir, I sure did. Let me lube up the other half and we'll stick the crank in. Let's just crank us in this. Arrow to the front. I don't know why that says T instead of 5. That's because it's the thrust bearing. I'm gonna dab a little bit of RT and V in these corners where that seal is. One of these gets this studded bolt. I don't remember which one. I'll have to go back and look. But she's gonna go right there for now. What I like to do to make sure these are seated, just barely tap them. You'll know when they're seated. All right, let me figure out where this one goes. Then we'll tighten these up, torque them down. Well, I've determined that it goes exactly where I've got it. How did I know that? I don't know. Let me run these down. Then I'm gonna tighten them up with the torque wrench. Just to make sure we ain't got nothing bad going on. Let me make sure this turns over by hand before I go any further. No, sir. Well, it sort of does, but that is really, really tight. Yeah, something ain't jiving. I don't know if it's just that seal or if it's something else going on. Tell you what, let me loosen this cap back up. No, sir, still pretty hard. Well, this ain't no count. No, sir, it sure ain't. Let me loosen them up one by one. Let's see which one it is. It's a little easier. Let's see what that thrust does. About the same, so there's something going on with this one right here. Let me loosen the rest of them up, see what happens. All right, which one did I say? This one right here. Let's tighten it back down and see what it does. Yep, it's definitely that one, sure enough. Let me take that off and see what we got going on. I mean, I don't see nothing, so I do not know. Let me pull this bearing out, clean the back side of it, make sure there ain't nothing back there. All right, I cleaned this one up. Let's see what it does. I went ahead and tightened this one up And it got pretty hard to turn there too. That could be due to that rope seal, you know, because it's going to compress it. But this one here, I don't know what's going on with it. Let me loosen this one back up. Still pretty tight. Interesting. All right, here's what I did. Pulled the crank, pulled this bearing in half, and cleaned this real good, cleaned the back of the bearing. Put everything back on, and then tightened down just this one cap. Still just tight as it was. Well, I took it back apart, got to looking at the bearing. Right here on the edge, you can see a little bit of shining. I don't know if it'll pick it up on camera, probably not. But right there where my thumbnail is, it's like the bearing has a lip on it. And I think that may be what's going on. So what I'm gonna do is polish this out, polish the whole bearing, put it back together, and hopefully that's gonna do it. Well, I put it back together, and it's still just as hard to turn as it was before. I don't know what's going on here, but we got to figure it out because that's too tight. It's liable to burn that bearing up. Normally, you know, I would put the bearings in, put the caps on, we'd torque them down. I'd get my dial bore gauge and measure each one. Then we'd mic the crank and figure out our clearance. Well, I didn't want to do it on this because it's just a dang old 6-cylinder. All we're wanting to do is hear the thing run. But apparently I'm going to have to, you know, check all that out. But it ain't going to happen this week because, well, I'm out of time. I got to go to the airport, pick somebody up. That's going to take up the rest of my day, so we're going to have to wait till next week. Yes, sir, I got to head to the airport, go pick somebody up, but at least we figured out this week what was wrong with it, why the thing was locked up and wouldn't turn. That one piston was all crudted up. Pretty sure that's what it was. That's one hurdle. The next hurdle is figuring out why this bearing's so tight. That's just part of the game, fellas. Yes, sir. Hopefully next week we'll figure that out, get it back in the car, and maybe we'll be able to drive this thing around a little bit. Be looking for that. Anyways, appreciate y'all watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you don't mind, hit that like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends. And until next time, go do something. Blur, blur.